Let me see real quick and see if we're all live. I can't tell from my end. Dun, dun, dun. Anyone here? If everyone on Twitch can hear me alright before we start, let me
I
know.
can do a double check.
Yeah, I'll turn it up a little bit.
Oh no. What happened? Are we live? If people on Twitch can let me know they can hear me. Let me make sure. Always the ads too. I mean, word. Oh, we can hear it. All right, we're good. All
Looks
right,
like we
people.
are.
Yep. All right.
I've got it pulled up.
Yeah.
We're good.
As long, like right now, I'm waiting for the ads. Yeah. Wait. All right. Cool. You're live. Perfect. All right, folks. Hi, my name is Luminous Zero. I am um, the ambassador. um, I'm doing a live episode of my podcast called The Guardian Feed. We're gonna talk about how video game is important to mental health. Um, Usually that tends to be a broad spectrum, but we're gonna get into like just the generalization because there could be all subtopic like women in gaming, men in gaming, disability in gaming. I've done a few of those before, but I have my co-host Fluffy. Um, how you doing, Fluffy? Oh no, Fluffy.
Okay, no, sorry. I've had just a bit of audio glitch. I do apologise. Everything cut out for a second, but hello, I am here.
I was worried, like not again.
But yes, I am here. Sorry.
I would say, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. Yes, hello, everyone. Yes, I'm doing fine. How is everyone here? Everyone good?
Yeah.
Yep.
So far, so
Yeah.
good.
I'm good.
I hope
I'm
so.
still waking up drinking my coffee, but I'm good.
It's good to know.
So yeah, folks, I have two new guests I never had on the podcast before. One is our recently newest ambassador, and that is Kate the nurse. How you doing, Kay?
I'm well. I am ambassador and very obviously a nurse. I actually work on a psych unit and I have to go in tonight. I work 12s on night shift. But I love it. I love games. I'm really excited for this podcast.
That's good. And I have another guest. I am gonna butcher your name for sure because I don't think I ever heard it before. It is Blaze McLean. I butchered it
Yeah,
so hard.
it's okay. I just go by Blaze, but yeah, Blaze McBain. I've been with Guardians Mental Health for a couple of years now, and just always a mental health advocate. And I'm an educator. I talk about education in gaming when I went through college, and I still talk about that now.
Yeah.
Nice. I didn't know that.
So before we talk about the general topic, I want to get everyone's where they started in gaming per se. Like for me, for example, um, I grew up with a household where the first console was always a family console. um, so like I remember my stepdad at the time had got me and my sister a Sega. So we went back and forth, like with Sonic and all whatever Sega games at the time, until we moved on to the PlayStation side. Um, if anyone remembers the old Seven Up games, that was that was me and my
Yes,
sister's.
sir.
That was me and my sister's game for a while, along with Spyro and all that. But I got heavily into gaming once Final Fantasy 8, like right around the end of 7 and 8. Um, my sister decided to, you know, move away from it, and I had to convince my parents to be good in school, and had the PlayStation for myself. That's when I got heavily into gaming since then. More RPG side, but but yeah, let's just start with Kay. Where do you start with gaming? Like, how do you get started?
So, kind of like you, like I grew up in a family of gaming. I have a split household, so even on my father's side, all about gaming. My mom's side, My first game, I don't know how old everyone is, the old PCs, The Sims 1. Uh,
Hey yo.
my mom would play it, and I was like 5, and so she would let me play. So it all started from there, and then, like you said, the Sega, old Sonic. There's this one box my granny, or this one that my granny would play. It was about moving boxes on this Sega. I have no idea, but uh, and then of course we moved up GameCube, PlayStation 2. My father, or my stepdad, actually camped out outside of Best Buy for the PlayStation 2 whenever it first came out. But yeah, we just went from there and kept upgrading. I like to play all sorts of things.
That's good, yeah. I was never actually a PC gamer. I really wish that I was, to be honest. Kind of wish I could go back in time and tell my old self, like, hey, convince your parents PC. But I've always been a console player for years. Oh. Because, like, one of the, like, because I'm a big Final Fantasy fan, like, I get actually, it's really sad to say, but, like, I can never say I play all Final Fantasy games, because, like, Final Fantasy 11 was the first MMO, and that's been PC for the longest time, and I never touched it. That was, like, so bad. So, like, hopefully maybe one day if it's still standing as it is now, I get a PC, like, oh, I can probably play 11, but, I play everything else just except for 11. um, but Bane, what about you?
Oh, I'll go ahead and age myself. I've been playing games since the Atari, which my
Oh,
grandmother had at her house because she was into computer software and engineering, which was, a crazy for someone at that time, especially a woman in the field. So it was really cool to see. Like I'd get to play games on her PC from time to time, but we also had an Atari over at her household. I still own every game console since the Atari in my household, except for like a PlayStation 1, because I have a PS2 and a PS3 that are backwards compatible. It's been a part of my life since I was like 3 years old, and I love to buy games as physical copies. If I'm buying things for console, it hurts my soul to buy things digital copy, but with kids, it works out better that way in some cases. But yeah, I mean, I still have like original copies of Dig Dug and Galaga and stuff like that in my house right now.
are they
I mean,
all on the
it's
wall, or is it like in boxes?
yeah. No, they're in the box like next to me on my bookshelf.
That's
Like I keep
amazing.
yeah, I mean, we
I
have
wish I kept my PlayStation over the years, but I always been that typical kid that trading one system for a new one.
I mean, it's crazy. I did make that mistake once. I traded in my GameCube games, not really thinking about the Wii being backwards compatible.
Yeah.
And that might be the worst trade in I ever made because those games cost so much now. Um, but like I walked into a Goodwill, or I guess my mother-in-law walked into a Goodwill and she's like, "Oh yeah, they have these Nintendo games," and she didn't buy them. They were $1. She's like, "Yeah,
Oh.
there was like a gold cartridge Zelda there and all this other stuff," and I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I drove up to that Goodwill. The gold cartridge Zelda was gone, but like I snagged Demon's Crest, which is the demon from Ghost and Ghouls, but you play as
Oh
the demon
yeah,
instead.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, Final Fantasy 3 in that grab. There's a game called Evo, which is probably one of the rarest Super Nintendo games I got in that little setup. But I
You
mean, I
got a
remember going
physical
to buy.
chrono? Oh my god.
Yeah,
To this
I
day, I really wish I could play that again. Like, it sucks that it's not even on current gen at this point. I know a lot of people
yeah,
are
it
like advertising for it.
it needs to happen.
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
honestly, it
mean,
really needs to.
given what Nintendo's doing in 2025 and with Dragon Quest, it might be coming, but it's
It might be.
hopefully like in the next year or so. But like all the older games that they're remaking and coming back to the current system, it seems like Chrono Trigger has to be the next step.
I definitely think it has to be. I mean, slowly but surely. But you mentioned Final
Yeah.
Fantasy.
I personally think they're probably saving it for like the Switch 2, like maybe like as like a secret, like after it launched, and they like surprise, here's Chrono Trigger for the Switch 2.
I'd be all about it.
Yeah.
I would snag it in a heartbeat. You mentioned Final Fantasy though, and that is like a core memory of mine is me and my dad going to the rental store that was in our grocery. It was like connected to our grocery store, and they always had like a bargain bin of games. And I remember purchasing Final Fantasy 1, having no idea what Final Fantasy was. I just grabbed it, and that game is so hard when you're like 7 years old and you have no idea what you're getting into. But that was like the turning point for me because I own every Final Fantasy from that point forward.
Yeah, I am playing the Pixel remaster on the Switch. That's like
Mm-hmm.
my introduction to the 1, 2, 3. I think up to 6. But yeah, like 7 was my start because 8, like I said, 8 came out, but I didn't try 8 at first. Like there was, they were right next to each other, so I was like, I'll try 7 first. It was like a numbers thing. Like maybe they're connected. uh, and yeah, so since then I've been well, I actually love 9 more than the other two. I understand 7 a lot. Like I do like Cloud. Like he's cool, but at this point, I feel like it's just oversaturated. At this point, move on. Like I'm waiting for 13
Yeah.
to come on current console because that's my favorite title. 13. I love Lightning, but that's just my own personal preference. But
Underrated Final Fantasy for sure was
oh yes,
13.
oh yeah.
But nine is kind of like a sleeper hit that people like sleep on.
Oh yeah,
Um,
because you have to
sadly,
play it long enough to understand like, oh, this is good. Like at first it might seem like a slog, but like once you get past like the slog part, it's like, oh my god, like what is going on? Like I cannot like put this down.
yeah, I don't know. I think about Final Fantasy has the best villain in all of gaming being Kefka. And
Yeah.
like that needs a remaster more than any of the
Oh
other Final
yeah.
Fantasies in my opinion. That one's really good.
All right. Sorry, Fluffy. I didn't mean to derail.
No, you're fine.
What about you, man? I know I'm not sure how like the UK handles thing video game over there, but what was your first title and everything?
Well, I want to just give a bit of a backstory here. Before I was even born, my dad was a heavily gamer. He had one of the very old PCs that you had to type in all the binary codes to get your game to launch, and he said he used to buy this big magazine with all the coding in, and he had to type it all out just to actually get it running. Um, he then got an Atari. I don't know all the games, like all the consoles he got in order, but my my dad was like heavily invested into games. So when me and my brother were born, he introduced us to gaming, and it's been a slow, steady decline ever since. I think my earliest game memory, it's one of the two. I can't really pinpoint it. I think it was either Bomberman on the Sega Saturn, or it was LAPD on the PS1. It was one of the two. I'll say like the Sega Saturn and the we had the Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast, and the PS1, and then we started getting just the consoles as this came out. For Christmas, I got my dad got me a PS2, and of course we had the GameCube, we had an N64 as well. But no, I definitely think my earliest memory of games is either a Bomberman on Sega Saturn or as a LAPD on the PS1. I think, just to put it out there, I think the most funnest game I played when I was a kid, and it's still right up there with my favorite games of all time, is Banjo-Kazooie on the N64. I've even went and brought myself recently, and well, not recently, about 5 years ago, when I got myself an N64 myself, and of course I've just converted all the game. We still have all the games from back then, and yeah, I stand by the N64 is probably my most renowned console I played when I was a child. But I say the earliest video game overall was definitely Bomberman, I think.
Yeah, I didn't hear that name in a long time. Yeah, the Nintendo series. The Nintendo series was my grandparents' introduction because they had an N64. So like the only time we ever played the N64 was like, hey, what's up, Grandma? And I sleep over for the weekend. I want to play some Smash Brothers, Zelda, the typical N64.
Oh, Smash Bros. Yeah.
Because they also had a rental store as well. So like I will like convince them to like, hey, I'll work over the weekend, but for free rental if you let me sleep over. Like it was a deal. It was like a deal on deal. But yeah,
I think we used to rent. I know my brother used to rent games from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
When that was still running.
All that, yeah. All
Yeah.
right. We're like, I don't think we're 8, but I was pretty shocked that we all started around like the Atari, Sega, Nintendo era. Because I know some people started like way late in life. All right. So, we're all mental health advocate. consider Fluffy a mental health advocate, even though he's not officially. But I know him long enough to. But
Yeah.
with the rise of a lot of things over the last couple of years, there was streaming, um, with the world, I will say. We also need some sort of de-stressor, I would say, especially from working, family. I'm not saying being in a family is bad, but we all know that sometimes kids can pull hairs for sure. um, and
I
I,
think, oh, sorry. I think, like you were talking about the last few years, I feel like COVID definitely, like what we're doing right now, it connected people over the internet. It gave us a sense of like socialization, playing online games together whenever everyone was stuck in the house.
oh yeah,
And I mean, mostly everyone has a PC or a laptop of some sort. So I feel like that was definitely a good thing from
yeah, it
gaming
definitely
as
was a
far as
rise
mental
from
health.
online gaming for sure. Cause the weird thing is that video game was never like we all. I know we all started like with video, but like in my household, like video game was still like it was still tooth and nail with me and my parents because they think that video game was just like rot your brain sort of thing still. So like I couldn't like play it consistently as much as I would like. But then um my mom kind of just like didn't give up. She kind of just went with it because as me having a disability, having no ears, I did have to constantly have surgery. So as one of the things of me having the surgery, I do have to kind of stay home and recover. So I do have to not homeschool, but do the homework at school, at home, and then when I go back to school, I'll just not miss a beat. Um, and one of those things where my mom kind of just did out of nowhere was like after every surgery, she would just take me to Best Buy and just tell me, here, pick a game. Like, this is the amount you have, pick it. And where Best Buy has, that's what I would get. And most of the time it used to be, the Game Boy game because they tend to be cheaper back then. Um, and she started realizing that, me having ADHD, my focus kind of just came to more that it came to when I was playing video game, I would tend to be more focused after playing it versus like let's before playing it sort of thing. So she kind of just like understood that I need some sort of de-stressor, some sort of medium to keep myself focused, and that was video games for me because I constantly would think about a lot of things like Pokemon, for example. The leveling system and all that, the Mega Man about the levels, stuff like that. That's how RPG came with my thing. But as years goes on, uh, MMOs tend to take the spotlight for long term sort of thing or online gaming at this point. Uh, Taking to a
You
long
know,
term sort of thing, like me and Fluffy. Fluffy's in the UK. We never met, but we still play a game that allows us to inherently function as we are, as we were, react to each other. Um, so I think
so
video games always been on the rise recently, been some sort of positive impact. But I know, as time goes on in the '90s and forwards, it had always been the case in my eyes. But I don't know how about you guys in your circles. If video games always been like rot your brain type of situation, and the next thing you know, it's like, no, you're good.
it wasn't really like that in my house, but I know two things. I just, you were talking about education, and there are games where you have to do math. Like, I know people don't play simulators, but Supermarket Sim, I have to count up the change, and I know like a lot of uh, MMOs, like right now I've been playing Once Human. I've got to like calculate how much XP I need. So it really does. It works your brain. And that article I sent out, the National Institute of Health.org, it actually does talk about it is good for cognitive development. And you had mentioned uh, poor attention control. It does help with that information processing, attention control, flexibility, and just all around cognitive development. They have done research studies that it does help that.
Yeah, I do know like vegan now also helps with a lot of things. Like I know there's application for flying planes, stuff like that where there's console now that allows you to train yourself to fly a plane, to train uh, racing cars now. I know like I found that out recently. I don't know if everyone know about that. Like if order like race uh, the fast car, the Formula One car. There's like actual consoles that these racers use to determine if they can handle the cars.
Gosh, it's like that truck driving simulator.
Yeah.
I loaded it up
Yeah.
once. It's like, I can't do this. Too
It's wild,
complex
like,
for me.
those simulators, though, there are people out there that they have like homemade, consoles for those simulators to actually, simulate themselves out there driving a truck, a plane, a car, and everything else. It's so wild about these, how video game can just do just that. I know one of our ambassadors, I believe, is into driving cars. I'm not sure what his setup is, but he talks about how, like, he was doing like tournaments and stuff for like entry for tournaments and stuff, and it's crazy how much effort you have to put into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say on the education point, like there's a lot of different like facets that go into that, whether it's like cognitive or like the attention span. There's like the whole social side of it. If you're going into any type of like multiplayer situation, whether it's MMO, competitive, things of that nature, there is definitely like a stigma during, I would say, like the 90s, early 2000s with video games, like to some extent. Like if you were a gamer, there was like this stigma that went along with it. Like I think about what high school was like for me, and I think about what high school is like now because I teach high school students, and I'm like, these are vastly different things. Like if during this time now, like gaming is so much more acceptable than it was then. Not that it was bad, but there's this negative connotation of, oh, you're wasting your time. There's still not, there's no gain to it. And I remember seeing education classes, and we had to discuss gaming at one point, and I brought up like all the different aspects in the approach to play Madden, which is a football game, and I just went through and I was like, hey, these different things have to happen in order to play it, and they're like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah, like you need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to understand like a playbook and how it's going to work. You need to be able to understand like the timing of routes. There's all these different things that go with that. And to go back to Case point on like the math portion, like that's what I do in, for my real life job, is I teach mathematics and I coach running. Both of those things, can have a aspect within the gaming space of things that help. Like learning how to control your mental when you're running is really useful. Being able to calculate things out in a quick way. We don't think about that in that way when we're gaming. Like once human, you need to go through and have all these different things for recipes. And like at some points there are people that will make little spreadsheets and stuff for that because
My husband.
yeah,
we have
it's just to help it. And it's one of those things that you don't think about it, but like all those little nitpicky things that you're like, oh, I'm never going to use algebra in my life. And like, no, bro, you're using it on one human right now.
Yeah.
It's all these crazy things that went ignored, and now there seems to be some sort of value to that. I mean, my sons are 5 and 9, and I let one of my sons, he was doing a project and they had to submit something that they made. So he went and made something in Minecraft, and I helped him set up the whole entire video for it so he could take it in and do it that way.
Yeah.
And he was the only kid that did that.
Yeah. My daughter right now, like we took away the tablet because that was me and the mom's bad decision when she was little. So I suggested let's do the Nintendo Switch Lite with Minecraft because she's into Roblox and I'm not highly into it at the moment. Like Minecraft is the next best thing, and now she will constantly come up to me every time she plays the Switch and she's showing all the things she made. I'm like, who taught you this? Like what? Like she told me how she made like a freaking portal for like the demon world and how to bring a dragon into it. I'm like, what are you even learning this? Like I know you watch YouTube here and there, but like, but I'm watching what you watch. And I know it's not Minecraft. But I was like, that's impressive. But yeah, like to talk about like the MMO, like the once human side thing, MMO, Final Fantasy 14 also had the same issue, thing where a lot of people would do spreadsheets and stuff, and especially for crafting. I'm sitting here like I don't know what you guys are talking about. I'm like, this is not me at all. I was like, I'm impressed that you know how many ingredients we need for this weapon, off the back of your hand.
It is. It's a lot of focus. And then Blaze, this is kind of running off the trail, but then kind of going back to what you said that you were like a running instructor.
Yeah.
Another aspect is VR.
Mm-hmm.
I have lost 106 pounds playing Beat Saber. Like
Dude, Beat Saber's so good. It's so good.
you sweat. It is hard or pistol whip.
Oh, it's so good. Like it's a good workout. I was doing that with the kids, or like I bought DDR mats,
Mhm.
and I originally bought one for the wife because she loves DDR, and I went and bought another one, and now my kids I went and downloaded them like Mario DDR from back in the day on the GameCube. I found like all the tracks, and they'll do DDR from time to time. Well, if it's 104 degrees outside, cool. We're not going to go outside and have to worry about heat stroke. We'll stay inside and play some DDR. And there's still a bunch of things that go with that between the exercise, the eye to foot movement, which is also as important as like hand eye coordination. It's really, really good. I just think there's so many different facets that people don't even think about, that it gets really interesting on just the cognitive development side, which I get to see a lot of that because of little kids.
And even going back to like Dance Dance Revolution, or does anyone on PlayStation 1 remember iToy? It didn't go
Yep.
very far.
Yes.
You had to move around for that. The Wii, so they have been incorporating physical activity into video games, and I think that's great. And I think that definitely takes some of the stigma off of, oh, lazy video gamers, blah blah blah, because you can't always be lazy.
Yeah.
I gotta get a high score on Beat Saber. I gotta work.
Yeah,
It's
bring
like
bring
the-
like Fruit Ninja on Connect. It's Fruit Ninja's on VR now too, but Fruit Ninja on Connect was that for me. I slammed Fruit Ninja on Connect. I was
Oh,
I
so
was going
good.
Oh
hard.
my god, the Connect! I got Connect only for that Fable game that you could ride around with a horse. You know how many times I had to set my room up
Oh.
so bad. My mom came in one time and she looked at me and said, "What the fuck are you doing?" She's like, "Are you riding a horse right now?" She's like, "Yes, but." Can we get out? Because I'm about to hit you in the face. Because I had a small room and I had to put everything to the side. He just comes right in.
Oh,
Well,
Wii
her face
bowling.
that day was
Oh my
hilarious.
god. How many people lost it like Wii bowling and then Wiimotes going through TVs? Oh my
Oh,
god.
gosh.
I used to work at a game store during that time period, and let me tell you, what a time. What a
How
time to be
much
alive.
money did you guys have to pay on all the TVs broken?
I'm very cautious because I remember because the only reason because my wife did it one time with the Switch and missed the TV and I was like nope, I'm going to Walmart. I don't know where it went. We're getting the strap. I'll be back in an hour. Fine.
The little
I nearly crapped myself when I saw that thing went flying. I'm like no. Oh.
Everybody laughs about the little strap things. They're like, I don't want to wear those. And then,
Yeah.
one Wiimote goes too far, or a Joy-Con or whatever, and you're like, okay, maybe I need to wear the little strap to connect it to my arm.
I was one of those. I
Yeah.
Gamer. There's a difference. You know who's a gamer and who isn't when you know that the gamer can hold controller for a long period of time, and another one that's like, no, you're not a gamer. You just threw that like it was willy nilly for some reason. But you don't know how much that thing costs. Oh. But yeah, going back to the physical side of things, I think games like Beast Sabers, DDR and stuff like that. There's also a side of that where not everyone is able to move around, hands, feet, body, stuff like that. And there's ways to play video games, through the mouse, one-handed. I know PlayStation's recently. I'm not recently, but I know PlayStation released a PS5 version of like a one-hand controller. Xbox has that for a while, but there's ways to keep yourself exercised and have the physical entertainment while you're doing that. Because like not everyone like on one of the side, not everyone is very much social. Social anxiety is still
Oh
a
gosh.
thing nowadays, especially like with technology growing, where fishing is still a thing, or the bullying, all that stuff, and having people feel like so conscious. One of the things like I can tell my kid all the time, like she keeps asking, like sometimes she'll ask here and there about a phone. I'm like, you're not getting a phone at some point. Like you're still young. You're like about to be 7. You don't need to have a phone. Like God forbid, you come home with a laptop and then I have to figure out how to make sure that you know the exact rule of what you need to be on that laptop for versus going to the dark web, which is the internet. But it's like when I was growing up, like it was terrible. I grew up with I mean, we all grew up with technology, as growing, but like the society of not talking to someone in person versus online is a very different thing. Like um, I had to like outgrow myself to know like I need to talk to people because I need to have a job. I can't just be shy all the time.
I get that. I have social anxiety, and I'll be honest, I live in a very rural area. Bunch of little country folks, big trucks, yee yee. I hope that doesn't offend anybody, but I
I
can't.
can relate.
There's not a lot of gamers. People don't understand. So, I mean, I couldn't be having these conversations with people at work, really. So it really does, and that itself helps your mental health. Just feeling like you can connect with somebody and some mutual interests.
100%. I like as being an educator, it's like one of those like weird areas, right? Like I'm like, can't I'm I started off as one of the younger teachers. I still am, but I actually recently found out one of the teachers I work with played Smite back in the day, which is like the main game I play, and we got to talking about it. But really and truly, if I brought up I played video games to half the people I worked with, they'd be like, "Yeah, that's really weird," and it does create this like weird social situation that I just don't feel like dealing with or trying to explain. So there's always that social aspect to gaming that's just nice
You
because
know, oh,
I know
sorry.
I was gonna say because I deal with kids all day, so like getting on a game and being able to talk to any form of adult like feels good at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So
I was
you know,
I was kind of going the same route as you, actually. My patients that come in, they're going through mental health crisis, and we take care of anyone from 18 to 75. And
hmm
actually, there's a lot of times I get to connect with patients. We talk about their coping skills. They'll say, I play video games, and then that can start a whole conversation, and it just helps them have someone to connect with. So, like, getting to talk about coping. And I do like whenever I get to talk in a group about how video games can help, because there's all sorts of coping skills, and video games is one for a lot of people.
well, it's
One
one
that,
that has such easy access
right.
too. Like in a lot of ways, like there's like between mobile, VR, console, PC, like there's such a variety now compared to if you go back 10, 20 years ago. The and I really blame the Wii. Like the Wii really opened up the gaming market to a large fold of people that it didn't really exist for before. But that caveat was really, really good for the whole entire gaming industry. But from people young to old, because it just opened up this opportunity of like, oh, we can go play Wii Sports, and there's really no judgment to go along with it. To go back to one of Luminous points earlier, with the idea of the kids bring home laptops and stuff now. I mean, just when I worked in the gaming industry of just selling games, parents don't even look at ESRB ratings, dog. Like it's crazy. Like I remember I'd have people come in and they're like, I want to buy GTA for my kid. And I'm looking at their kid. Their kid's like 6 years old, and I'm like, the ESRB rating on this is mature for the following reasons. And I'm reading off the reasons, and they're like, I don't care. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And like
So
that's problematic because that just means there's no monetization of like what they're doing or what they're watching,
Oh
and
yeah.
that kind of sucks. And
Well,
and it's kind of
yeah.
crazy.
Going back to like the GPA side, like I think nowadays, there's still parents out there who really don't care. Look at that. But like you were talking about GPA alone, GPA was also uh, a tipping point for the gaming industry as well. Because like you said, the parents don't care. They'll just give the kid the game, and next thing you know, these kids are playing like the Grand Theft Auto, not knowing that there's a difference between a video game versus reality. Like there have been incidents where on the news you see kids like hijacking cars and it was just plain GPA, and like we're like, well, what the parents are doing? Like there's ratings for a reason, and sometimes you just have to use common sense. Like it's GPA. Like you're gonna steal, gun, rob a bank, steal cars, whatever, and that's not good for a 6-year-old. Oh.
And don't get me wrong, like I think sometimes I read ESRB ratings and I'm like, really? Like it's teen for this? And like I understand why, but like I'm gonna let my 9-year-old still play it. But I still go and look. and go, is this appropriate for this age group?
MMOs, yeah, I think MMOs also fall into the same category where you do have to like be very careful about what age.
Oh yeah, slippery slope for sure.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
because like it's, I mean, like I said, like there's such things as catfishing nowadays. So like online gaming or MMOs for specifically, it's very hard to tell like who's whose unless you like really like, hey, you know, like even just being like, hey, can you just send me a picture of yourself? They can just take any picture off the internet. Like it's really hard at this point. Like it's more of a common sense game than anything else. But then again, like you have to like it's all about judgment and common sense and all. It's just very hard to like for children growing up in the most technological age as time goes on. Not age, like culture. Um,
Well, I think back to when I was a kid. My parents bought me Mortal Kombat when I was like 8. And that game was like, I remember like the things around that game and how it was like, this game is so violent, blah blah blah, it is awful. And like I played that game and I love Mortal Kombat to this
The
day.
fatalities, they glory. I loved it.
I was like already a Jet Li, Jackie Chan, you know, Bruce Lee fan as growing up as a kid. So my parents were like, "Oh, Mortal Kombat and like a fighting game like Street Fighters and all that." It's like, "Oh, you're already ingrained to kung fu movies and stuff. You know the difference." Like here you go.
Yeah, I was so excited about that. Those games were so good. There was another one I thought of too. What else was during that time? There's Mortal Kombat. There was another one, and I just slipped my mind. But Mortal Kombat, I remember being the one for me that I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I played Doom, but I played Doom much later. But still, like Doom was another one that I was like, man, this is wild. Like just thinking about at the time, because you go through those games and you're like, this is the pinnacle of gaming, and it's like the original Doom or Conker's Bad Fur Day. My parents bought me, and I definitely should not have been playing that game as a child.
Now,
So sorry.
so, let's switch it up. Has anyone ever played Tony Hawk? The old
Yes.
Tony Hawks.
Yes.
My entire music base, everything. I'm like, oh, that was on Tony Hawk, and my Spotify playlist, love it.
Oh, I still saying, hey, yo, let's go at work sometimes. Just keep myself going. But yeah, no. But going back to I saw Becca mention in chat how she like watched horror movies, and the only reason why I don't like horror games because my grandparents screw up a movie for me. They wanted to put a kids movie for me and my sister, and they somehow accidentally did not look at the VCS and put Chucky in. So
Oh God.
Yep. I got scarred for life. I can't watch horror movies because I as a kid I'm like I don't know, like I can sleep at night. I was like I can't do this. I was like, who made a doll to a killer? And that's like the only game I was willing to play. Maybe only because I watched the movie first is Resident Evil, but horror games are just a no for me because of my childhood. Like I cannot, like I will immediately punch my TV, my screen if I ever get jump scared.
Fatal Frame. I used to be terrified. I loved it though. I was probably like 10, and I would make my little sister sit in there with me because I was so scared. But I loved it.
Yeah. The only time I actually play a horror game from start to finish is because one of my friends got the, like, I forget what it's called, but it was an Xbox game, and he was gun-ho about it. Like, he's like, dude, I heard it's so good, it's jumpy, let's do a sleepover in the dark. Like, he was making this whole thing about me and everybody and him playing this game from start to finish. And I swear I feel bad for the mom because she kept coming downstairs telling us to shut up. Where was it being like? and the other dude was like crying. He's like, "Are you okay? Do I need to call your mom?" I'm like, "No, we're good." I forget what it's called. It was like it wasn't technically scared, but it's more jump scared because like every time you make a movement, you turn around, the guy would just pop out of nowhere. We're just seeing like about the sheer penis. Fluffy, you had to talk for a while. I'm sorry. I feel bad that you haven't talked.
No, it's fine. Like I've been happily listening, to be honest.
Do you have anything
What games
you
do you
jump in?
play? Games do you play when you're feeling down?
Well, that is a big question. Because depending if I've had like a really bad day, the kind of games I like to play is like a turn-based game, like as Luminous mentioned earlier, like something like Pokemon, or just something that's really chill. or something that's like really like vibrant colors. I don't have to really stress about anything. I can just turn off my brain and just enjoy the game around me. Sometimes I'll even go back playing retro games just for the nostalgia. And I've played these games before. I know what I'm doing, and that's the kind of game I will go towards if I'm feeling if I've had like a really bad day. That's the kind of game I would typically go for. Is something that I can just turn off my brain and you know just like relive in the moment, or just something that's going to cheer me up. Like
I like that.
with Pokemon, I've got a long history of Pokemon. I used to play it competitively. I don't anymore, but like I know that universe, and that is where I feel not the safest, but like the happiest. If that makes sense.
Yeah. That's like your comfort zone, like your comfort game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
What's like, then
Um,
going back to Kate's question, what's everyone's like video games that their go to when they're going to for a bad day or need like a reset? Well, what's
so
up with
I
you?
actually before whenever you asked me to do this, I went around and I asked some people, and someone brought up a really good point. Someone said that when they're not feeling good, they play Elden Ring because it's really pretty, and some video games can just it helps them not think about quote unquote life crap.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
I think that's another. Some games are so pretty. Like I know Skyrim is old, but I think it's so pretty.
Well,
such a
Um,
gorgeous game that is.
I
Yeah,
yes.
remember
it's
the
really
minute
good.
release and played that. I skipped college class for a day, played that all day. uh,
But for whenever I'm having a rough day, now bear with me. I love Power Wash Simulator. It's so
Oh, that
relaxing
game.
if nobody's played it.
oh,
I
that
know
game's
it
addicting
sounds
though. Like once you get into
thank
it, it's
you.
addicting.
It lets me focus, it's relaxing and or cozy games like Stardew or The Sims building. Yeah.
Stardew? Real? Sorry, I never played Stardew, but I know for some reason there's people who play Stardew don't think it's Cody. It's sometimes like it's a weird way of like like a horror game at some point. Like it does get weirder as time goes on.
It can. There are some weird aspects, but
I know for my wife, because she's not a gamer. Like she gave up on me trying to stop being a gamer at some point when we were dating, and she just understood like, hey, that's you. But like when Animal Crossing came to the Switch, I was I was advocating like, hey, I'll buy you a Switch, and and Animal Crossing because she said she used to play it back on the 3DS and just hadn't played since. And I said, like, instead of you playing a game that I'm playing, which at the time was Final Fantasy 14, I told her, like, I think for you, you would throw the controller at the wall for the most simplest thing for an MMO. Like, Animal Crossing's coming out. I'm buying it for my Switch. Like, I'll buy you a Switch, everything. And she still plays to this day. Like, I bought her crystal cases for it. I even bought her, like, the actual manual. I get, like, unofficial manual, but it's a big ass book for everything you can think of for that game. Um,
that's a
and she
really good
still looked
point.
at it, still plays it. I think she restarts her island probably no more than 20 times at this point, and still going through it.
Um,
Yeah. And she hasn't
Getting
played the
to like
details. She hasn't played the
connect.
DLC either. Like she's playing like the base Animal Crossing, not the fashion thing. I said, you want it? Let me know. I don't mind buying it for you. But like, you want to play like the full on experience? Like I don't care about the fashion shit. I just want to play the base game. But yeah.
It really can help you like connect with people. Like, you were talking about playing Animal Crossing. You said your daughter? Is that right?
Minecraft for my kid. Like I don't play with her
Okay.
specifically, but I do sit next to her when she wants me next to her. But she comes, running towards me like, yeah, Dad, guess what?
Yeah, that's really sweet. Or like I don't have kids, but I know like me and my husband, that's one thing that really got us to connect and we get to play games together. And you don't really get to find that with a lot of
Yeah.
people who
My
find similar interests.
my kid knows. My kid grew up. She's grown up with video games because of me, but she knows enough about Destiny where she'll say, "Oh, you're playing that game now." Versus when I had her as a baby, I used to play a lot of Final Fantasy. Then she would call the chocobos chickens. And nowadays she's like, Oh, you're playing the chicken game. Like, yep, I am. Okay. Alright. It's a chocobo at this point. You should say chocobo. No, it's a chicken. I was like, alright. But yeah, for me, I think my cozy game is usually RPGs at this point. I would think anything new. I usually get a lot of my birthday release RPGs that I really want on my Switch first. So that way, if I'm like having a bad day or I'm about to do a family function where I know people hate me, I'll bring that with me uh, and play that for a bit. Something like Octopath Traveler, the Tales series game. I don't know anyone knows about this. Live Alive, the old Japanese game that came to the West. I'm still playing that a little bit. DUC RPGs are my go-to. Sometimes Final Fantasy 14 if I'm not doing a raid that day. Sometimes I need like I'm not gonna log in because I know that the raid's gonna be stressful. I'll just log in when I'm ready to go. But usually that's my go-to. Anything RPGs on the Switch at the moment. But what about you, Bane?
Oh man, it kind of depends on like how am I feeling down? Like, am I angry down? Am I sad down? Like, what which does it fall under? Kay mentioned the Elden Ring route earlier for one of their friends, and I think for me, one of the interesting things is I used to play a little bit of Escape from Tarkov, which is not a way to calm down in any way, shape, or form. I'm just gonna show. I am not.
Stressful.
I'm not advocating
I've
that.
seen that game.
But
I don't know. I'm like, that's not a cozy game at all.
but the rain in that game is so like real sounding. I love it. Like, it is one of the things, like, something about the way they've done rain in that game. It just tickles the ears, and I'm like, I could go take a nap now. And it's one of those things. It's so weird. But
That's
it just
a good
kind of
point.
depends. I look at it a few different ways. I play so many competitive games, and that's really kind of what I enjoy. Now, sometimes I'll boot up like PUBG like I used to back in the day, and I will slam some PUBG for a little bit, and just like the running around and kind of mindlessly doing things is kind of nice. But if I truly just want to shut my brain off, I'm going to play like Vampire Survivors or something similar, where it's just one of those roguelikes where you walk around and the enemies die, and then you just do your build and you hopefully live for 30 minutes.
Yes, I like that.
That it just kind of vibes. I enjoy it. I'll pull it up on the PC. I'll put it on the Steam Deck, whichever, and really just enjoy that. In fact, like me and my kid, I'd introduce it to my kids because it's on Xbox and it's on Switch, and they're like, "This is kind of nice." I'm like, "Yeah, like gaming doesn't have to always be about like who's the best. Like we could just play other games, and like they do a good job of that. Like we'll play Luigi's Mansion together, or right now." We've been playing Astrobots together, which just came out last week, which is really, really good. But I think sometimes I want to chill. Sometimes I'll just go watch my kids play games, or like me and my wife will play games, or I'll watch her play Fortnite, or she'll watch me play something, or we'll do a queue Fortnite and have a good time.
That's good. Yeah.
And Becca actually also mentioned a good point. I know that sometimes, what do they say? Laughing's the best medicine.
Yeah.
And they mentioned party animals. It's silly. It's fun. It's definitely a good way to lift your mood whenever you're like playing a fun game with people and getting to laugh. Party animals is great. Also stressful though.
Yeah,
But
it
is
reminds me
great.
of oh god, what is the name of that stupid game? It's on the Xbox. Gang Beasts. It reminds me of Gang Beasts, and playing
Yeah,
Gang Beasts
exactly.
with my children makes me want to rage. So I can't play it. I can watch somebody else play it. I cannot. It just like it brings out an innate amount of anger in me. I'm like, these animals are so silly. This is cool, but like playing it, no. It reminds me of Gang Beasts, and I just get horribly upset.
I don't have an Xbox, so I don't know Party Animal that well, but I know Among Us is. If I want like a good laugh, I'll try to get people to play Among Us and see.
Among Us is fun.
Oh,
Or
Steve,
it'll
Lethal
tear
Company.
your relationship
in the
apart.
most funniest way.
Look, Mario Party is the true test of
yes.
relationships. But like,
Oh,
True.
yeah.
Mario
You
Party
know-
or Mario Kart. If you really want to get
No.
like really like know where your Louis daughter play Mario Kart, it's like 'cause my daughter's
well, it has
little.
to be,
She'll
but it has to be
punch
old
me
Mario
in
Kart.
person. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. It has to be the older
Yeah.
Mario Karts because the new ones have too much catch-up mechanics. Go back to like Double Dash on the GameCube, and that can be a time.
Well, I remember when one Christmas I played one of the old Mario parties with three of my friends. And yeah, friendships ended that night. As soon as people start stealing stars from you and like backstabbing you just to get the win, that's when friendships start deteriorating slowly.
uh, that was me in Halo. So like that's when that's how I got into shooting games, just threw down, and there'd be times where we're sleeping over, and the two other buddies will be like, this guy's not a shooter. Let's try it again. I was like, first of all, if we're gonna backstab each other, we're all in person. Like, black guy's gonna have it. And we keep going down this route. Like, do not forget this. um, but
And then
sorry.
sorry, I feel like I'm always interrupting. Another aspect is it's a good anger release. Someone else, whenever I asked what they like to play, they mentioned like shooter games, fighting games, because it's a good way. You can't, not everyone has a punching bag, and sometimes people cope by just letting that anger out. And, fighting games, shooting games, you get a chance to let that anger out, and it's in a healthy way, I think.
Oh yeah. We had a TC talk earlier. That would technically my anger being really with GTA, because I would just inherently just use cheat codes to unlock everything and just go ham, and then I'll come outside of the room and my mom's like, "Whoa, what's me? You all chipper?" I was like, "Nothing, I'm good." I was like, "I'm good." I was like, "I just spent 30 minutes blowing stuff up. I am okay." But nowadays it's more of Monster Hunter. I'm getting to that a little bit. Not my anger game, but there's times where if I want to like, yeah, my manager pissed me off. I'm just gonna imagine you, and I'm just gonna imagine me hitting you with a hammer.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you gotta do.
That helps. It's a healthy way.
I mean, I know some people. I know some of my circle when they hear that, I was like, "Do you really imagine me in a video game and hitting me?" I was like, first of all, I love you, I really do, but there's times that you piss me off, and
I appreciate the honesty.
But let's be real though, I could punch you right now, but it's not gonna happen. So let's go get a beer and talk about our day. But just know, if you piss me off, yes, there's gonna be a chance that later tonight I'm gonna punch you as a monster. There you go.
Yeah, we just gotta balance which one we think is more socially acceptable, and I think your number one is probably better than the other option.
Yeah. And they all look at me and be like, I mean, that's true. You could give me a black eye. Like, yeah, we could just fight outside in the parking lot. But let's be real. We are standing with no black eye. So we're good.
Some people go that route, and it ends up with a really expensive hospital bill. I'm sure a video game is a lot cheaper.
It's okay. My son came and asked me if he could color on his table, and I was like, "Yes, why not?" Like what? Like I was trying to figure out what led to the question of why wouldn't he be allowed to color on the table? Like I don't know what made him think he couldn't, because I've never stopped him from coloring before. But then I thought about yesterday. We're out getting pizza, and he watched these kids take like handfuls of crayons and a bunch of napkins and just scribble on them as hard as they could, and they scribbled on the table, and he kept going, "Why are they doing that?" So maybe it's because of that, I don't know.
I just noticed something, and this is a little off topic. You know how people say things differently? You said crayon? Does everyone say crayon or crayon?
Oh, no. Yeah, I already know.
Crayon.
We had this conversation last night on my stream because
I couldn't help but notice.
I believe in spelling canceled with 2 L's and behavior with a U, and I know it's the British way of spelling it, and I refuse to change it. That's where I'm at in life.
Oh yeah.
Like people say Cerberus, and I'm like, no, it's Kerberos, and as a Smite player, it tilts people off the face of the planet that I pronounce it that way.
I couldn't help but notice. I think I do a mix of crayon and crayon. I guess it's like crayon. It's like I do the cray, but then I add the on. I don't.
I
What
don't
about you,
know.
Fluffy?
I'm from up north. I
Crayon.
can't say.
Crayon.
Thank you.
That's how I pronounce it. Crayon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Luminous?
Crowns for I say crowns, so that's
Or Crayola.
Wow.
No,
It's
you
like-
want to
it's a
talk
brand.
I'm the
about,
only one.
Brand
Great.
now.
if you want to talk about meaning words, when I moved to Maine during my high school year, the people there looked at me funny when I say water, and I'm like, no, it's water. No, it's water. I'm like, no, it's water.
Water.
Where are you from?
Look, it's like
guess
people that
it's-
say Waterburger, and it's definitely what a burger.
Yeah,
but like
Whataburger.
it's but I'm in Tennessee, and they're like, hey, I'm going over the Waterburger. I'm like, okay, yep, you go there.
So,
Whatever
are
floats your
you-
boat.
Part of the, like Appalachia area too? I
Yeah,
am, and I feel like
I'm
that's.
I'm like 45 minutes outside of Nashville.
Oh, okay, well, we're a little different. I have very we speak banjo around here.
Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
if I do, but
I know
we
what you mean.
all. It's very country accents. I try to hide
Yeah.
it, but I probably don't do it well.
I'm from up north originally, so
I can
like
tell.
the problem of people really wanting to know how your day is, it still like sits wrong with me sometimes. Where they're like, "How are you doing today?" Like, I'm good, and like I
Oh.
used to just say okay, and, like because that's up north. You just if you say how you doing, sometimes you just don't get a response because that's how it is. And here it's like if you don't respond, people will
It's
come for you.
rude. I know we'll get back to the mental health, but that's kind of like over in our area. If someone says, "Oh, bless her heart," it's not being nice.
Yep.
You're
No,
calling
it's
you're
not.
calling them
Yeah,
dumb. It's
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
I hate when
But-
people do that to me. I'm like, no, you just say what you want to say.
As far as mental health, and I'm sorry if you guys feel like I'm monopolizing. This is
Yeah,
just
no.
a very.
No, you're fine.
I like this topic. Another aspect is I think it's important for mental health is for you to like set small goals so that whenever you reach them, that's an accomplishment. You feel better about yourself. And a lot of video games, there's quest lines, small quests, side quests, and whenever you reach those, you have something to work for, and that's an accomplishment. If you fight a boss fight and you try and you fail, but then when you finally do it, it boosts your mood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
For
100%.
sure.
I actually talk to my runners about this every single season at the beginning of the season and then throughout. Like, goal setting is super important, and understanding like the difference between a long-term and a short-term goal is astoundingly different, and it's something that throws off people in athletics and education and everywhere. Where I go, okay, we have to go run a 5K like, for cross country, and I'll get people that are brand new to running, and they're like, well, this is so hard, I'm bad at blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, the first 2 weeks are going to be awful, and let's just focus on making it through a mile and feeling good about that. And then like let's work on getting to 2 and then getting to 3 and then being concerned about, okay, how fast can we do it in, and work on these small achievable goals. That way, when you get there, you're like, cool, I got there. But let's have a goal for the end of the entire season. But it can't be something you're going to do in 2 weeks. Because if it's something you do in 2 weeks, you're going to diminish the feeling of that goal. And that has really helped a lot of my runners. But I also approach coaching a different way. Where, like, I don't yell at anybody on any of my teams. The only way I'm yelling at somebody is if you've done something crazy that, like, is going to get a phone call to the school and I'm going to end up in a meeting. I just don't have the time for that. I don't think it's a good way to get people to want to learn from you.
It's so
That's great.
funny
But
that you said that because I'm like that at work right now. Because I had constantly being, I'm not a leadership in some way, but I know the leaders I work with trust me to do more work than anything else because of workership. But I also tell people that I work with, like, if I yell at you or for any reason, like if I'm like using my high tone voice, it means that you really are like fucking up. Like you have to like listen to what I have to say. But like 9% of the time, I'm very much like very chill, very work oriented, and make sure like they're doing what they need to do. But like I've done that once, and all of them looked at me like, "You can't scream." I was like, "Yes, I can." Like, do not make me do this again. I was like, "One, I told you 5 times not to do this, and you didn't listen, so now I have to scream." I was like, the master, the owner are yelling at me for it, and I'm telling you to do the same thing and to help me make the owners happy, and you're not doing what I'm asking you to do. So like, let's all be real here. Like, don't ever make me use my tone of voice. Oh.
Yeah, I just
kind
don't,
of like
I was gonna say, I just don't like to have to hit that point. If I'm hitting that point, it's not fun for anybody
Yeah.
involved.
yeah, I was kind of going there too. I wish that more people were like that. You know, you're not going to get anywhere with anybody if you're yelling. You kind of gotta at some point kind of try to see from their shoes, I think, and just have a
Yep.
lot of patience and explain the rationale. If I do something wrong and you tell me why and tell me why I should do it right, then it just both go the right way.
Yeah.
Things get fixed. No one has like hard feelings, you know, and people learn, like kind of like what you were talking about with your coaching. I think that's great.
Yeah,
I think like the last time I yelled at somebody, like I had a kid that kept throwing for shot put. He kept stepping over the line and throwing at, like, and scratching. And he goes, "Coach, I need you to help me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong." And I was like, "I got you." And he went to go throw, and I just yelled, "No," really loud. And he goes, "I didn't know you had that in you." And I was like, "Don't worry, you'll never throw over the line again. We don't have to worry about it." And the rest of the season, he did not scratch because he was so worried I was going to yell. And he knew I wouldn't. But that's the one time he was like, "Can you help me with this?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I got you." And it wasn't even like out of anger. I just was like, "No," like in the way of like as if he was like going to do something wrong or it hurt somebody. Like they're like he's throwing it towards someone. And that's one of the few times I've actually yelled and it worked out. But like overall, like I think the last time I seriously yelled at a group of people that I coach was for doing something inappropriate at track meet, or I got hit once, or twice in the same instance. I got hit in the face.
That's good.
And that set me off. But I think that's a little bit more understandable. Yeah. I just don't think learning through fear or learning through being degraded doesn't feel good. But yeah. I think that's part of the good part about like learning how to goal set. I think is really important because that's one of those things where learning, like if you go and look at the way Japanese education works, and I know this just from experience of middle school, you learn through failure. And goal setting kind of teaches you that. And same thing with video games, like when you lose to that boss over and over and over again, and then you finally accomplish getting through that task. You're like, it feels so good accomplishing it, but you're going to remember whatever the movement was for that, or you're going to remember that quest and the things you learned from it because of failing so many times.
Yeah.
And learning through failure is okay. But we have a very large stigma, especially in the US, that like failure is not okay and it's unacceptable. But I guarantee you're going to remember the moments that you failed more than you remember the moments that you've succeeded.
Absolutely. And oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I'm just going off like that's a good point because for Final Fantasy 14, I'm a raid leader for the raid group I'm in, and most of the time, me and the co-leader had to remind the group that like as much as everyone else in the community, you know, it basically all react like past us in terms of the fight. We're gonna die a lot. That's fine. We're taking the casual approach. We do have to constantly remind them, like, hey, like, you know, we're gonna die. Make sure you have fun. All this jazz. Don't get too stressed on how many times we die. Just understand, learn from your mistakes, and we'll go from there. Because there's times where like there's people in the community that will nitpick about, you know, the numbers of the things of MMO. And I'm not about that. That could be like an entirely stressful thing. I'm all about like even with your playing with friends. Like I'm just here to have fun and take a chill. Like if we're gonna be 100% serious, I have to be know beforehand, not the day of, because like I need to prep my brain. Because 9 times out of the time, I do not want to be serious in video games unless I'm like seriously have to.
Oh my gosh, yes. I don't know if anyone plays Dead by Daylight, but there are people who play like professionals. They know like every perk. They take it so seriously, and like what you were saying, Luminous, like I'm here to have fun. If I die, it's okay. I'll try again. I'm just here to have fun and just like have the like excitement and the mild anxiety that it's it's a great relaxing game, but then it's not. But we're all in it for fun.
There's gamers and there's gamer in the video game community and all that. There's different levels of it. Like we always say it's casual, midcore, and hardcore, whatever. But like there's the different tiers of those things. People do find comfort in those high level stress environment versus the casual, cozy level of gaming, which is fine and all. Um, but there's always a double-edged sword when you start taking your um, comfort level to competitive level, because then you're going to start to see a side of you that no one wants to see. Because I used to be a COD head, and I stopped playing COD because I was coming to a person I didn't like. I was very much being like a real real douchebag, and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this. I'm out. Like someone pointed out
Yeah,
to me,
like
was like, I really had I been doing that to you while we're playing COD? Like, yeah, dude. Like you've been like a real dick. I was like, I had to like take a couple of days. I'm like, I'm done playing COD. Like I can't do this anymore. Like I did not know I was doing that to you. I guess it's just like a like I was just playing a game for fun at that level to me, and then I realized I was just being like a completely different person. I was like, damn.
yeah,
I had
like
that
last.
realization.
Oh, go on.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No, you're good, Fluffy.
No, no. All I wanted to say was like on last week's episode, I mentioned this to Luminous. I got really heavily into Overwatch at one point, to a point where I was slowly turning into a just an absolute douchebag. Really, I weren't like sending people hate mail. I've never done that, but I think what it was, I used to play like I used to do a lot of competitive in Overwatch, and I was playing it for like a good year or two after this point. And I just remember playing an unranked game, and I think it was a Brigitte just pushed in with an ult way too early, and I was just yelling at the screen. I was going, hold on," and I had to like take a step back and just go, "Hold on, this ain't me. I'm not a really overly competitive person, and from that point on, I've never went so like I'm playing Overwatch again now, but I'm not at that point.
Yeah.
I think I got way too into my own mind of the competitiveness, and I just realized that I had to step out of that because I was turning into someone that I didn't like. Sorry, carry on. What were you going to say? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So no, you're good. Like, and I have like two different things that kind of go in this same category. I used to be a major guild leader in Guild Wars 2. I led a guild of like 300 people. We were one of the top guilds NA for WW, which is like basically if you ever played ESO, it's you go on a map and every group can have 100 to 150 people on map, and there's 3 different server groups on each map. And I remember then, we were considered one of the best guilds in North America. And we would go and we knew we had a core group of like 30 people, and those 30 people took it more seriously than all the rest. But we didn't exclude anybody that was more casual. We had one player that we played with that was from Australia, and she only had one hand. We had players with other just random, different things that kept them from being able to play the game at what they perceived as the top level. And I remember going through, and my goal was always to be anti-meta. I wanted to break the meta constantly, which is something I love to do. I love to do that in every game I play. I think it's fun. But I always made sure that my players that were less comfortable, less competitive, or maybe they have a physical disability that they perceive as setting them back, I would be like, hey, here's a build. I want you to try it. Let me know how you feel about it. Because if you do these things, like you're contributing to the group at a high level still, but I think you're going to enjoy the game more than what you're enjoying before. And I remember, and shout outs to Rowan, she lives in Australia. She's actually sent my kids like blankets after they were born, like love her to death.
So we could bring us to our next topic on that. Let's talk about how video game brought us, not us, but like you guys in terms of your community and friendship as well. Because like for my circle,
I
the Final Fantasy and Destiny side, people do get married. Like they met in game, they took the time to after a while they finally met and got married and now they have kids. Like video game is can bring people together. Like have you guys ever met people online and eventually met in person, or you guys have like long lasting friendship that's still online and haven't met? Like
I have a
meaningful.
friend online that taught me how to put on fake eyelashes, actually. And now I can wear fake eyelashes. And then I do have two other friends that she is from New Zealand and she's in the process of getting her visa and coming to America to come to Kentucky. Her and the guy have been together for 5 years, I think. But
Wow,
yeah.
that's
So yeah,
amazing.
they're in the process of that. Maybe 10, but yeah, it's cool thoughts.
I know
Yeah,
Fluffy.
I'm.
Sorry, Fluffy. I know you and me know a guy named Philly, or you introduced me to him, but you know him longer than I have, and he's coming to the UK this weekend. Oh, I gotta feel like this. That's the same feeling for you.
Yeah, most of my clan, I'm going. I'll say like this weekend. Well, next weekend I should say. I'm meeting up with a bunch of them. I say, as Luminous just said, I'm meeting up with Philly from America. That's definitely going to be an experience for sure. Since I think he's like 6'4" and I'm 5'5", so he's going to be a towering giant over me.
You gotta take a
Um,
picture.
yeah. Um, but yeah, like I've met most of the people that I play Destiny with. There's a couple I haven't, but even the ones I haven't us were somehow closer than the ones I have met. What's really weird. Again, like all my clan are very close and we know each other like personally a lot. But despite not even meeting some of them and just having that connection is definitely something. I'm like these are the guys that I talk to if I'm having like a shitty day. Like they know how to cheer me up and they know how to make me laugh. And I say every raid we do with them, it always ends in just laughter and just. I never come out of a raid feeling like crap. I always come out feeling happier. And I there's been several nights I'll come off from talking to them crying with laughter because I just know all like don't get me wrong, we all insult each other a little bit, right? Right? But it's just banter. We know we don't actually mean the insults we're saying, and it's just generally a good time we have together. And I say some of these people I've never met in person, but we get on so well, and we bond over the simplest thing. I say all met via Destiny, and it's just expanded from that. Like I think Hannah met someone who then introduced us to more people in her clan, and then we then just it just spiraled. Like we just got this very tight community of people that know how to talk to each other. I said the one guy I speak to, and I'll talk about him on the podcast, but like me and we went from Destiny, and now we're playing Remnant 2 together, and we've put over I think easily 70 hours together in Remnant 2. So, and it's just like these experiences that I have with this group of friends, because again, they support me so much mentally, and they know how to cheer me up, and vice versa. I know how to cheer them up, especially if they're having a shitty day. I can always, crack jokes with them, make them feel better. So yeah, even with people I haven't met in person, and I am trying to meet majority of them as I can, but the ones that I have met and haven't met, these are like the closest friends I've ever had.
I should have brought a tissue, man. That was horrible. Yeah, I think for me, like I mean, I'm not in that boat. Sadly, I'm not trying to like sound like a broken. I'm not trying to sound like I'm sad, but like I think for me, I always have a hard time maintaining long term connections. There has been time where the people I did talk to during my childhood birth and everything, they kind of just drifted away. Not by any like we end on a bad note. Just life happened, and just we were never met in person. It was just more like online thing kind of just drifted apart, and I always feel like I have a hard time making friends. But like uh, even now, I still try to you know have fun with people I play with, even for a day or so. Um, But like being an ambassador though, not an ambassador. I think being an ambassador also helped, but me doing this podcast, kind of helped me a way to break the boundary because there's times where I'm like nervous to talk to people, and now like you know what? I think at this point, what the worst can say is no. I had happened a few times. I wasn't offended by it, but like with me breaking out of air, like I have a chance to talk to to Infinity. It was just like my highest moment in this podcast. But it also opened gates to me, let me know like it is possible to form friendship or form connection, even short term or long term, by just taking the first step. Um, and I think I grew as a person from that. I mean, you know, I met before Fluffy. I'm not doing it. It's not anything against him, but before Fluffy, I used to have another co-host, Average. I was close to him because me and him used to talk for years on Twitter. And then when I started the podcast, he was the first one to be like, "Hey, I'll do it with you." And then he was going through a rough time, but one of those things about that was he didn't have to say anything to me. He kind of just jumped off, and I knew what was going on because he had to say to me. I said, "Hey, you know what to think?" I'm like, I'm here for you. If you need anything, cool. And then like a week later, he said, I'm glad that you understood what I'm going through. Um, just know that like I don't think I'm able to do your podcast anymore. And I was like, dude, I know, but you're always welcome. Then when Fluffy here today, he kind of did the same thing. Like, hey, I'll join. um, and me and him connected through podcasting. We check each other here and there. Sometimes I suck at it. um, but I think one of the things about like going back to our old topic, video games. Um, I think it's a way to understand that there's boundaries. There's also a way to improve as a person, and there's a way to help with development strategies in the brain and all that jazz. But yeah,
I mean, and that's what this is all about, gaming and mental health, the whole Guardians mental health thing. And I know I can be quiet because I do have social anxiety, as we've been talking about, and a lot of times I feel like I don't want to feel like a burden, so I like to be approached first because I have anxiety, and whenever you approached me, Luminous, about wanting asking me to be on this, it made me feel very happy, and I was really nervous to do this. But it really did. It made my day. Just thinking, oh, I was considered. But being like online, making online friends through games is you feel. A lot of times you can feel more open to speak your mind and feel judgment free. Or I know that anyone can come to me judgment free, and I won't. I mean, I don't care what you did. But um, that's another good part about online gaming and just online gaming communities. And I think that what this Guardians of Mental Health is for, I feel like I practically begged to be in, and then now I'm quiet because I saw it and I was like, oh shit, or oh shoot,
I'll
all shucks.
see, Joe.
I don't know if I can. Oh shucks.
Joe's very good at getting people. Cause like for me, I always wanted to be an actor, and it took me about a year. But like I wasn't forcing myself. There were times where every time Joe was like, "Hey, we need a charity stream," and I'm like, I'm in." Like I'm not an ambassador, but I'll be the first. I'll do this vlog. I'll do this vlog. But like there's times where Joe bringing people, I'm like, "Holy crap! Like you talk to this person?" I was like, "Joe," I was like, "You got some connection there, what?"
I saw this community. I was like, oh, I live for video games. I live for mental health. And I put in an application. I didn't hear anything back. And I'll be honest, I reached out and it's like, hey, did you see my application? And I feel bad,
Yeah.
talking about mental health. I have my own mental health problems. So I know a lot of times I can be quiet, but the community really does mean a lot to me. And I love what we're doing.
I think I yelled in the living room when I saw the text from Joe on my phone because I do everything on my phone regardless if I'm not on my computer. So like when I saw the notification about Joe messaged me, I was like, holy shit, this is it. I was like, cause Joe never messaged me about anything else. So like I was like, oh my god, am I finally gonna be it? And I looked at it, I was like, fuck you. My kid comes in, I was like, you okay? was like, yeah, I'm happy. Oh, but yeah, I think overall the general thing about video games is like I think being part of a community or making one, if you're a streamer and everything, does help a lot for the growth of people. I mean, um, like I know, coming from the Destiny side of things, just staying for now. Like I know there's a group of people out there that know that start from D1, they work for D2, and they're all parents. They all know their kids. They all something with their graduation, and they still have that type bond now, even though when the game is on the fizzle, um, and they still keep in touch and talk and still meet and stuff. I think that's one of the greatest thing about video games. I think we need to I wouldn't say we should push forward, but we still need to keep a boundary because video games can still be it's a double-edged sword regardless. There's a good side and a bad side. I mean that I think that's the way of life regardless. Um, but you just never gonna know, who's being real, who's not. Because that's the sad part about being online is that you just have to trust your judgment and hope for the best. But at the same time, it's like if you don't take that first step, you might have missed the greatest opportunity of your life. That's you have to roll the dice, per se.
Yeah, and I mean, and it's so easy in public or online to kind of put on a mask because you never know what someone's going through. I could meet somebody one time and think, oh, they're an asshole, but really, they could have just been having a bad day.
Yeah.
And I think that's another good thing about mental health and gaming is we all just try to be understanding because we all usually have a lot in common and just can understand. But and I think it's a nice distraction from the world, really.
So let's
Like getting
yeah. So let's kind of just move on to about what video games or series kind of made us who we are today. I know we talked about a lot of old series games, classic games, stuff like that. But that game goes on. Video games have about to VR. I haven't tried VR yet, but we are at that point now where if anyone knows the anime for online, I'm pretty sure in next
Yeah.
10 years we're gonna be there for sure. We're gonna be either at the end, there's a foot in that door, or we're gonna have news over the world where people are can't log out, and we're living that nightmare. um, but no, what's what games now that you still play that that you kind of identify with and that you are glad that you played that game. You know what I mean? Let's start with Fluffy.
Like, what do you mean? Just a bit more in detail.
Yeah, because let's see. I thought of this at work and had it in my head. I should have wrote it down and I didn't. For example, let's say for me, I'm very glad that I got into Final Fantasy 14 because even though that was never. I never got into MMO before then. It was always a console gaming, handheld and all that jazz. For me to have the opportunity, me having the opportunity to finally able to play an MMO on a console, opened doors for me where I felt that I have developed more of a social skill with it too. Because in an MMO setting, you cannot do normal things like you were on a single player game. So you do have to put yourself out there and talk to people and all that stuff. And I know with me now, I'm now able to say I'm leading a team of new raiders and helping them meet the same goal that I want is to finish a raid tier, do it in a nice formal way, and we're talking. There's times where a couple people will just message out of nowhere saying, "Hey, I'm having a bad day. I might not talk, but I'm still gonna join tonight, just to let you know." And I'm like, "Cool." And then sometimes I answer "Do you really need the night off?" It allows me to feel more myself versus that I haven't versus when I started playing video games. You know what I mean? Kind of like that.
Yeah, okay. So there's technically two here. I'll talk about the one at the start, and then I'll go straight on to the next one, so I don't need up too much time here. But yeah, the first one will definitely be Pokemon. As I say, I did play this competitively, and me and my brother we went to a league in a town close by called Sutton, and I met a bunch of people there that I still talk to today, and I still meet up with them occasionally. And again, the social aspect of going around to tournaments and stuff, not so much Pokemon itself, but just being inside that area where everyone had a passion for Pokemon. Like, no one there was like, oh, I'm just doing this just for the money at the end. Everyone there had a burning passion for Pokemon. Like, I never got into the high rankings, so I was like just playing for fun near the end. And those are the people you meet that are just so passionate about the game and they just want to have so much fun. And playing Pokemon, just being there with people that associate themselves with that universe. It's so beautiful in its own way. Just just having that environment where you can just talk about the one game and everyone is on the same level of excitement to talk about the same thing with you. And the other one, and again we have a podcast about this, Destiny 1. I started playing with just my dad and my brother. That's how our group originally started. We had three more friends. There was two of my friends and one other friend that, and we used to do raids, and it kind of petered off about when Dark Below came out, and that group completely went by what was the third DLC? House of Wolves. That's it. And when the Dark Below was coming out, that's when I met my partner Hannah. And I got her into Destiny, and of course we bonded over that. Right, we both still play Destiny till this day together. And the more and more I got into Destiny, the more and more I realized I had a unique skill for it, and I wanted to take that skill to help people that didn't have a team together. Like, for example, the Sour Mate Philly, he wanted to run Presage, the exotic mission, and he wanted to do it on Master with the timer. So me and my friend Len, we both went, okay, let's get it knocked out in one run. And the Philly was not the only person we took for that mission on that difficulty. Me and Lynn took at least 10 to 15 people for that mission, just so people can get that clear. And I'm so grateful that Destiny has made me as social as I am. Like, as I don't have social anxiety when I play online games. Like, talking to a complete stranger over the mic is completely different from interacting with them in person. I have quite critical social anxiety in person. I struggle talking to people usually, and I get very nervous and very anxious around people. But when I'm on the mic talking to people, like for example, when I started doing the podcast with you, Luminos, that first episode I was on, I could not stop talking. I don't even know
Yes, sir,
what
you
happened
did.
with me. I was just going and going, and like you would never experience me like that if you met me face to face. I'm completely different in person, but if I know that person, I'm talking like how I'll talk now. I don't get so socially anxiety in person if I know the person. If it's a complete stranger that I'm talking to, that's when I start getting very anxious because I think, is this person judging me? Does this person hate me? Am I annoying this person? All these thoughts start rolling around in my head when I just start talking and talking and talking. And Destiny, surprisingly, I know it's just a video game, but like it's made me more confident in myself.
Well,
And
Destiny has
I'll say the
always,
amount,
yeah, Destiny always presented itself
yeah,
as more of a video game
yeah, it's,
regardless.
yeah, it's a social game. It's a social experience. And like the amount of times I've done raids with random people I've never met, you know, and you all have the same goal. Like you all want to get the game beaten. You want to get that raid clear. And when you just start talking to other people, it's something special that I can't really describe. It's just that moment, like it's the exact same, like the exact same thing I had with Pokemon, right? When I was at tournaments and I was just talking to people that were so passionate about the game. It's like that in Destiny, like when you're in a group together. You've got all the people in that one party talking to each other that just have the same objective, and they're burning with passion, burning with competitiveness. It don't matter if you're doing Trials of Osiris or just raiding in general. Like, as long as you're having fun and the communication between you and your teammates is nice and clear, and as soon as you get that raid clear or win that match in Trials of Osiris that gets you to the lighthouse, you can hear everyone's voice of excitement, and like it's a one thing that I strive to do in the game is help as much people as I can, because that cheer of happiness when you help someone when they've been stuck at something for so long, like Blair was saying earlier, like when you get stuck at something for ages, and then when you finally get that clear, it's such a good rush. Even though you will remember the times you kept failing and failing and failing, and then finally getting past that point is such a good feeling. I get to experience that a lot with a lot of people. Not so much it's my completion on getting it, but it's just hearing their reaction of the pure happiness they've went through just to get that thing done. Don't get me wrong, I don't social mentally with a lot of mental health myself, but a lot of people I talk to do, and just hearing them, like their pure happiness makes me happy. So that's why, like, it's why I've always been in Destiny as like a Sherpa, and because I want to have people, like, I want to make people get further in the game. Because some things in Destiny you can't do on your own. You need a team, and when they finally get the completion, they finally get to beat it. That their pure excitement is what I do it for, just so I can just make more people happy and make the community a better place.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely leaning more to that Destiny now, but yeah, definitely always had that unique moment where I think it's why it stands out to a lot of people nowadays. Where like you can't really compare it to COD or Halo because we know that online communities tend to be toxic in some way. But like Destiny has
Yeah,
always but Destiny has always been like even like if even if it's not rated, it's always a one thing. Like even it's a drop of a roll or an armor set or like a
yeah,
goddess.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
it's like it's that or not even that. Sometimes it's just a title. Like I know a lot of people are title chasers and then getting that last thing for a title, even with like a master raid, whatever, and it takes some months. It's like holy smoke, and they're gonna wear that title proud. That thing has always been that unique movie. Thank you to Final Fantasy 14. For me as well, it's like it doesn't matter if you're playing that game for 10 years. There's still stuff to do in that game that dropped 10 years ago, and you're doing it now, and it's like, wow, my God, thank God if I got this, and it's like very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we got about like less than 30 minutes, so I'm gonna give Kay and Blaine a chance to talk before we head out.
Yes, sorry, I do want to
No,
keep
no,
going
you're
on.
good.
Oh, you were really quiet. I'm glad that you got that time because I feel like we just kept talking.
No,
uh,
you're good.
Bliss, do you want to go?
I can. I think for me, there's kind of a few games. Like first of all, Madden was kind of a focal point for me when I was younger, as far as like competitive games. I played a lot against my dad. Um, and then after he passed away when I was in high school, I played a lot of Madden and NCAA against my friends, and it really kind of it let me know about competitive gaming, but in a different way. Like we play like NFL Street, Madden, NBA Street, those type of games against each other. And but that was the game. I mean, the word "mad" is in it. That would make me upset on a constant basis. And I was sitting down one day, and I was in the middle of a game, and I was like, "Why do I get so upset at this game?" And I'm like, "Is this enjoyable? Like, I'm enjoying the game, but is the yelling part necessary?" And it really changed like a focal point for me in gaming, where I always look at things as it doesn't matter if I lose or I fail. Like there's always a silver lining. Like I've learned something from it, and I've taken that with me elsewhere in gaming and just in life. Like yeah, I might have got a nail in the tire the other day after replacing it 2 weeks ago, but it's a nail, and I can live with that. At least it was replaceable and under warranty. But that sometimes it's hard to find those silver linings that are there. Um, Guild Wars 2 was another one for me. I started off playing that game with a group of friends. They all quit. I played solo for 6 months. I joined a guild. I worked my way up. Ended up starting my own guild and learned that, I was perfectly capable at breaking down a game to the point where like devs remove things because of me, and learning the mechanics of it to the point to where I could allow anybody with any capacity of skill to be able to play and enjoy it at a competitive level, and run it as a leader where people like feel like their voices were heard, they got to do the things they wanted to do and have that achievement and that, awesomeness of like getting things done they may have not been able to get done otherwise. And then probably the pinnacle one is Smite for me, which, depending on if you've played Smite, heard about Smite, or so forth, you might have various feelings about that game, and I can understand that. But when I had my first son, Luke, he, I switched over to Smite because it was on Xbox and I could play a game of Arena, which is practically like a team deathmatch game mode. And it takes like 15 minutes. And I was like, oh, cool. Like if he falls asleep for a nap and I want to like throw on a game, I could play a game of that and have a good time. I played that solo for years. I found a community that was like a podcast group that I ended up playing with. I started playing competitive just with little experience and just hopped in and did it. And it kind of gave me the itch that I had from Guild Wars 2 with the competitiveness. And I've translated that into coaching teams. And I mean, coach even the teams I've been a part on in competitive and playing in amateur leagues, anywhere from gold up to masters level, and letting people know. Yeah, I've been part of teams where people are toxic and cussing at each other and saying horrible things about one another. And the last time I was part of one of those teams, I wrote up a whole document. And I said, if you guys can't do these things, like I'm out. Like it's simple as that. If you cannot treat each other with basic human respect, learn how to do constructive criticism, learn how to take constructive criticism, then I'll just go elsewhere. And it helped all those individuals learn how to do that. Like it was like a big changing moment, not just for our team, but like a lot of those individuals, like, man, I hadn't really thought about it that way. And being able to help people kind of like see that was really cool. But the one thing I've always wanted to do, like I have this, like to this day, I thought I was going to get to do it last year, when they were looking for a football announcer at the high school I work at. Thought I was going to get to announce sports. Thought I was going to get to do some sports commentary, and didn't happen. But I get to do casting and commentary for Smite. And I was even just recently, I brought on to a new tournament scene where like pro players play. And for me, that's been huge because not only do I get to cast and commentate something that I enjoy doing, I have many people that enjoy my points of view, but I also get to now I bring like educational content to Smite and like tell people like, hey, like these are things you could do about positioning or learning how to build and things like that. And I've had plenty of people come back and be like, wow, I really appreciate it. I was struggling beforehand, but like now I can at least like feel like I'm playing competently, or I'm breaking even with my KDA. I'm not like going 0 and 13 or whatever it is. Shout outs to me for going 0 and 16 last night in a game. But it's different games across different genres for me. But I think all of those played a part in different facets of how I view different parts of not just gaming but life in general at this point.
Right, you do have a voice for commentary to do that right now. Well,
yeah,
what
I've been
about you,
told
Ken?
that. Someone asked. It's funny. I did virtual learning for a while, and I obviously have this streaming set up. And my students were like, "Do you stream?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Do you podcast?" I'm like, "No, dude. I bought this mic because I figured I might need it for virtual teaching." I was like, I don't know
You have.
I don't know anything about technology. What do you mean?
You gotta be careful
You
with
do.
your kids.
You
Huh?
have an announcement voice. Like you should be announcing. You should be dictating like a football game or something.
Oh, you could, yeah, for sure.
Uh,
All right, Kay, what about you?
uh, say that again. I think you cut out.
I said, well, what about you? You're the next
Oh,
one.
okay. Sorry. Everyone had. I don't think I can top that. Those were very, like, deep. Um, very nice. That was really sweet. So, I don't really play like one certain game. I'm very a variety. I know a lot of people there play Destiny, which I am going to give it a chance at some point. Luminous is going to teach me.
Yeah.
Um, I know like a few different points. Dead by Daylight, I did play a lot of that, and I actually have met a lot of friends through there that I, talk to like outside, quote unquote, IRL, that have really helped me actually for years whenever we go through like hard things in life. Um, my little Discord community, we have a really good time. We can be ourselves easy. We play a lot of party games, we laugh, and it's actually one group that I feel like I can 100% be myself. But when things get tough, we can really like kick it into gear. For instance, we had one friend who was always really active, always joked around, and they just went quiet at one point. Uh, so we like went full on Inspector Gadget. We like found their Xbox chat, everything. We reached out, and then luckily, finally, they did come back around. They had some things going on, and um, we helped them every way I could. Not going into too much detail, but little stuff like that. You can't always get that outside of gaming. And then another little point is I like to play The Sims also. The building, it's not really online, but there are like sub communities and I really get to express my creativity. I don't even play to play. I like to build. But getting to again share something and connect with other people and we just get to like compare and see each other's creative builds.
That's good. Huh.
I take a side tangent for like 2 seconds.
What?
Have you seen that Inzoi game that's coming, Kay?
Uh
It's like that Sims like game, but it's like super realistic looking.
looking it up now. Spell it for
Oh,
me.
that one, dude.
It's INZOI. My wife's like super excited about
that
it.
is like far out. I have seen it. I think there's a character customization
They,
out right
they did a
now.
they did
Yeah.
a character customization, but it's supposed to release later this year, and it looks like
It's supposed to.
absolutely
It's supposed
insane.
to mimic your mic as well. There's like supposed to be like some
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
facial
When you talk, the character talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's called Enzoik?
Inzoi, INZOI.
Okay, I spelled it wrong.
Yeah, I seen some YouTube videos on that, and like I saw some reaction
Oh.
of some of the like the mouse moving, like the one girl was talking, and she it didn't click on her that her character was talking as well at the same time, and you just saw her reaction. The character face made the same thing, and it was the funniest thing ever.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I need to finish my new PC before that comes out, or else
Yeah.
my wife's taking mine.
Oh.
That's
And I already know.
crazy.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. It looks so real and so many
Yeah.
like
It
building
is.
possibilities too. I love it. Nice.
Yeah. GTA meets The Sims, that's for sure. Oh.
I like that.
All right. I mean, I'm gonna. I think we should end off here. Give Core some time to settle up. Um, because she's next in line. But before we go, where can they find you? And do you have anything coming up that you'd like to, advertise, shout out? We'll start with Bane.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Blaze McBain. A good portion of the time, I also stream for High Res Studios on the Smite game channel a couple times a week over there, which is fun. And then I cast over on the Smite Prime channel if you ever want to come and see what competitive Smite 2 is about. And I have a bevy of things on TikTok, YouTube. I used to host a podcast called Up Your Experience, but we're rebranding it as something a little bit different. But you can just find me whenever. Just shoot me. It's Blaze McBain everywhere. No matter what the game is, I have locked it down as
you.
my name. Yeah, I got lucky. Like Blaze was supposed to be my real name, and then McBain was a name my uncle called me when I was a kid, and I just combined them, and here we are. And I've locked that in for like the past, I don't know, forever. So, what drives me nuts is when they limit the character limit. I'm looking at you, BattleNet. And I have to drop the I in Bane. But then
yeah.
I just think about that I'm really part of the Batman universe, and I'm just like molded by the darkness. So it is what it is. It's fine.
All right, Kay, where can they find you?
Also on Twitch, twitch.tv/KTheNurse. That's my name everywhere. I do have a wild work schedule, really. I just got back into streaming back in January. I had done it for 2 years, then I had to like put my life on hold and get some things together. So I'm kind of still jumping in and getting some stuff together. This weekend has been a pretty busy weekend for all of us. So no specific things coming up. I do want to do some more charity streams within Guardians and elsewhere. But I usually stream out 2 to 3 times a week. Again, it varies. I am doing a little better. I make the schedule at work, but we have 2 nurses leaving in the fall, so I will be working extra crazy hours. But I usually do 2 to 3 times a week. I am getting a little better about preparing my schedule, and I post that on Twitter. Also, Kay the Nurse. So yeah, that's what I do. I just kind of go with the flow.
What about you, Fluffy? I know you always say you're not going to stream, but one day you probably will.
Yeah. If you want to find me on Twitter, still not calling it X, you can find me at the fluffiest997. And if you want to, if when I do decide to stream, you can find me at the fluffiest warlock on Twitch.
You can find a podcast that we are on at the Guardian_feed. You can find me personally at the Luminous0 on Twitter, but unfortunately, due to my dumb butt mistake, I decided to do a name change on Twitch, and I lost my original name for 6 months, so I'm now the Luminous Z on on Twitch for the time being. I'm actually going to be streaming Tuesday and Wednesday because I forgot that the Pickley Squire game is coming out, and PlayStation Plus is doing the day one release for free because I'm a subscriber. So I'm gonna be trying to streaming that for my streaming days.
Which game is that?
The Pickley Squire. It's like that Zelda-like game where you play it in a book and it hops out and it becomes 3D.
Oh yeah.
It comes out Tuesday.
I didn't know that came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. I know
Yeah.
what I might be doing on Tuesday.
Yeah, if you're a
Easy
PlayStation
peasy.
Plus subscriber, I'm not sure Xbox is doing it, but I know PlayStation Plus is doing, like, if you're a subscriber for that $17 a month, you get it, for free, until they take it away. Oh,
I have been no lifing once human, and that is gonna be my life. I almost wanted to just quit my job and just play once human.
It's
I
so
heard
good.
I heard
So
some good things. Yeah,
yes,
one of
I'm
the Destiny
addicted.
creators I follow, he been making videos and stuff on that, and he loves it. And every time I go on TikTok, it's like all I see is like, man, but like I don't want to do it because he made a TikTok video of the nurse or whatever, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
So
I
yeah,
have
I'll be streaming that on
But
Monday, Tuesday, something like that.
yeah, but yeah, you can find. I'm be streaming Tuesday and Wednesday. I will make a schedule. It's usually 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock in the morning until 1. Since I'm home alone before the wife comes home. Oh, but yeah, thank you all for listening. This is very much a interesting experiment for doing a live episode. I appreciate the guests that came on. You guys brought some good discussion. Even though I had like different scenarios in my head, but it's probably a good route. Oh,
I'm sorry.
you're good.
Thank you so much for involving me, though. Actually,
Oh,
that
you have no
it
idea.
really it warmed my heart. I
You had no
appreciate
idea.
that.
You
I
had no
appreciate all
idea
of
how
you.
many people I bring on. They're like, "This is my first podcast," and I was like, "You're welcome. Come on anytime again." It's like it's an open door. but, yeah, I appreciate it. For anyone who's not for anyone, for those who's listening, please make sure to follow the Guardian Mental Health. Make sure you donate. There's people coming. No, the last block tonight, you definitely want to join in because I was shocked that he didn't join us, and he is a very much a good guy and a celebrity in my eyes. But take care. Core's next. Give her a few minutes, like 10 minutes. But yeah. But thank you all for listening, and I will see you Starside. Bye.
See you later, Guardians.
Bye.
Bye.